Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. Joining me on the show today, I have a gentleman who is has many distinctions, a man of many distinctions. I like to, in a positive way, I like to use the term infamous, meaning more than famous. A man of many distinctions does a lot of things. Mr. Sharay Hayes, also AKA known as the Punisher. Sharay, welcome to the program.
Man, thanks for having me, man.
My pleasure. Sharay, now you do a lot of stuff. Can you briefly kind of give me an overview of the work that you do and the type of folks that you help?
Yeah, so my main dynamic for years, I've been a male entertainer. So I started a company called Mania, which partnered, and we craft the celebrations, the ladies' bachelorette parties, the graduation parties, the birthday parties. So we create ladies' night events, typically all over the city. But when celebrating those special occasions and those moments, you can kind of have fun at one of our events. We did shift that from just male review shows to burlesque shows to even drag shows. Anything where ladies get together to celebrate their special occasions, we try to have something to, just be a model for a night, safe, fun event for ladies to go to.
Now, this is the first time that I'm having the pleasure of meeting you, Sharay. So I got to ask you, is that where the nickname the Punisher comes from?
Well, no, it's actually not weird. The nickname is something I picked up playing basketball
Okay.
and street ball in New York City, but it was easy to translate it to this line of work. And I try to stay aligned with the character, what you would think the Punisher would be. And it has worked for me over the years. So I'm happy I stumbled upon it.
Now, Sharay, I know you've got a new book out and it has a very fascinating title. I had to ask you twice because I was like, maybe I didn't catch it. What is the title of your new book?
So the title of my new book is In Search of Freezer Meat. So you got to think of a refrigerator, you open the freezer, and there's some meat in there frozen, right? And the concept of the book is I'm a very transparent person with life struggles or whatever. So as I started to age, like unfortunately a lot of men go through, I started to develop some signs of erectile dysfunction. And, obviously the first thing you think of is, hey, go grab a pill, go grab, some sort of the remedies that we see advertised all the time. But I made the mistake, like a lot of men do, where I started jumping on these pills way too young at a time where I didn't need them. And I did not realize that if you experience anxiety, the pills won't work. So I ended up getting some anxious moments and trying to be sexually active that rendered the pills ineffective. And so then I went on this 10-year journey to try to solve my sexual issues. So I was in search of freezer meat, hard meat.
Got it. Got it. So, who's the book written for? Who should read that book? And what do you want them to really take away from it?
So listen, when I after going through my struggles and eventually solving them, and I tried everything you can try, and I'm an open speaker. I'm very forthcoming with this issue, and I noticed that as I started to speak to men, really between 35 and as late as 65 years old, almost everybody was struggling in some way, shape, or form, and to some degree. And it's a shameful place, right? Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to have this open conversation. So what was missing in the market for me, I could find medical jargon that kind of gave me remedies, or I can go on forums and read through a bunch of people's stories, but it was I had to read 20 posts to find one useful information. So I tried to write the book that I needed, something that was gave me all the information that could be helpful, but at the same time, it was a relatable story that made me not feel alone, that made me realize that, hey, this is a common thing and I shouldn't be shameful of it. And number one, I should not check out. I should constantly try to fix this because you shouldn't give up on your sexuality. So many men start to struggle, and then you hear those situations where you got this married couple and they stay in separate rooms and they haven't had sex and God knows how long. And sometimes as men, we'll really tell ourselves, well, I had my heyday when I was younger and my time has passed, and you kind of accept it. And this is to motivate men, don't accept it. And it's also a good tool for women because when these situations come about with their companions, they internalize. They say, it's me. He's not attracted to me no more. He's not into me. and they don't realize that it could be a struggle with the man shame that he can't talk to her about it, and it gives her an understanding to kind of remedy it with her partner.
So this is really like more. This is for the people. This is for somebody that doesn't want to read a textbook on the subject because that's too hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yo, seriously, man. I remember going through it myself, just, the struggle is so personal. And then the textbook medical information is so impish, So what I noticed was, I literally take my life story and I make erectile dysfunction as hilarious and as fun as it's ever going to be. And you'll read these stories and you'll laugh. I've had guys reach out to me and say some of them, it literally brought them to tears because they had experienced these feelings, this invalidation, this place of vulnerability, but it's all bottled up. And so me sharing it in a very vulnerable, you know, humble way in terms of, man, this really derailed my life. It's very relatable to guys. And in a sense, some guys is hurting your life and derailing you in ways that you don't even realize.
Terrific. So this sounds like a new category on Amazon. Like, how did you find? Is it like ED comedy or
Yeah,
ED entertainment?
yeah, I'm still trying to find the right
Category.
the right category to put it in because it is misleading. When you first see the book, it just seems like just another erectile dysfunction book, but the relatable aspect of the personal stories and how it taps into mental health, because it erectile dysfunction, when on its face, is a physical issue, but it's way more of a mental issue. There's nothing more emasculating than wanting to be involved with a woman and can't.
So, Sharay, I understand, and as I mentioned to the audience, that you're a man of many distinctions, and you have a most recent one. And if you're allowed to share a little bit of it, you've just recently been a key witness on something. Tell us about that if you can.
Yeah, listen, trial's over, so I can talk about it as openly as possible. So, in one of my many bad decisions as a younger man, right, I stumbled on a scenario where I was a male dancer. I would go from house to house to do parties, and I got hired for what I thought was going to be a birthday party. And I showed up, and it was Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura.
Ah,
So I ended up in the Diddy trial as a witness for the prosecution that was involved in the infamous freak offs for 2.5 years.
oh my! What was what was your role in as a witness? What were they really asking you about? What were they trying to get from you?
So the funny thing is that's a gray area, right? Because I was called by the prosecution to, I guess, corroborate Cassie Ventura's testimony, where she was a key witness and trying to convict Mr. Combs. But it ended up that my testimony served the defense more than the prosecution. So they were trying to pretty much prove that she was sex trafficked and a victim in the details of the trial. But ironically, not trying to take away her experience, but my personal experience did not really see the allegations the way she testified to me. So there's a gray area of if my testimony actually helped or contributed in the way it was supposed to.
Now, they're not supposed to like coach you or guide you in any way of how you share your story. How exactly did they invite you in, and how do they not prepare you for what they're going to ask?
So you're absolutely right. And I think what happened was my interpretation was they misread what my cross examination was going to be. So there were aspects in just my experience that you could kind of translate into her being uncomfortable. And I did use those words, but in these freak offs, there would be directions from Mr. Combs. And the directions would be subtle, but it'll be, hey, move the light, move to this position, move here, like a real director.
Mhm.
And then some of these directions and the repetitiveness of the directions, I could see frustration on her face, where she would sigh, like, or kind of like, and I voiced that. And I think what the prosecution wanted was those reactions to be translated to her being in distress. And so when they questioned me to line that up, to present that.
Mm-hmm.
And what they anticipated was that the defense was going to just try to discredit me. And so every mock preparation was them drilling me questions. They would act like they were the defense to try to make me not credible. And the defense did the exact opposite.
How specifically did they choose you? Were they going through his financial records and they saw you like as a vendor for one of the parties, and then they said, we got to reach out to them"? How are you chosen specifically?
So they don't tell you directly how they come across you, but it's pretty clear that in these so-called freak offs, the person who orchestrated everything is Miss Ventura. So once she became their key witness, they probably had her, well, what guys did you contact? Give us all the numbers, give us all the information. So I would assume that she directed them to me.
Fascinating. So after all that was shook out, how do you feel about that experience?
Listen, man, I'm still kind of recovering from it. Being involved in a trial of that magnitude where the whole world is watching and it's not televised, right? So you just hear there's some guy named the Punisher that he was hiring, and me being a male dancer the majority of my life, and now I'm thrust into the spotlight as, look, let's say what it is, a male prostitute, right? It you Google me for the rest of my life, and that's what comes up. So it's a lot of space of damage control in terms of
Mhm.
controlling the narrative of how I'm perceived, and just trying to, just in general, just pick up the pieces because it's how it's affected my life. I don't really have a full understanding of what I have. All this popularity, all this, everybody knows who I am, but it's not exactly the right publicity. So how do I turn this publicity to something positive? And also, it's overshadowing my message. I do know I wrote a very helpful self-help book for a situation that's a big crisis amongst men everywhere, but I have to overcome, because when you see me, you see trial, you don't see author, So it's just picking up those pieces and trying to navigate in a way where I can show up in the world and be respected or in a respectable manner to the masses. And it's still a work in progress.
Well, you brought up a great point about the reputation and the brand, and we're on the Action Brand Marketing Megamix show. So I got to ask you, the last topic I want to talk about is your brand. How do you see all of this affecting your brand? Because you're a man of many distinctions. How do you picture yourself like packaging the way the world sees you?
Well, one benefit from this is I end up on platforms like this, right, where I can speak freely and talk. The exposure of the trial gets me in front of a lot of places. And look, I'm really an advocate for self-help, for men's help. I want to be a transparent, outspoken voice, and I want to speak to men's issues, relationships issues, mental health, these things, a lot of things that I've gone through. Even being involved in a trial created so much anxiety and stress for me that I lost 30 pounds in a feels like 6 weeks. And I'm trying to, funnel that into just stories of perseverance, survival, and rebranding and rebuilding yourself, and kind of the work in progress, even if I can show how I, you know, took lemons and made lemonade. Just anything that motivates people to just persevere and grow and be the best version of yourself.
Sheree, this is really timely because I always try to emphasize to my audience, I try to share the difference between attention and gaining an audience. Like you can't just go viral and have a viral moment and think that you're going to become a success, because you got to turn that attention into an audience. And that's sort of the gift that you're being given now, and the challenge at the same time to grow
Yes.
this attention into an audience. So Sheree, for our viewers that want to connect with you and become your audience, part of your audience, how did they connect with you and learn more?
Yeah, so currently right now I'm just in the obviously process of the social media. So you can find me on Instagram at I Get Punished. I'm Sharay Pun Hayes on Facebook. My book obviously is on sale on Amazon, all platforms. And for the guys that are dealing with the sexual issues, we have freezermeated.com or become freezer meated, right? Become freezer meated. So that's the platforms now. And then slowly but surely, where we're at now, I'm in the process of trying to start the Punisher pod on YouTube. So
Freezer meated.
freezer
Great
meated.
branding. I love it. I love it. It's attention grabbing. It has a fascination in it because it makes you say, what?
Listen, I learned that even my first concept in terms of the mail review business, everything was Chippendale's Hunkelmania when I started getpunished.com. Like get punished, but you got to stand out. I always go with you hear it one time and that's it. You only got to hear it one time and you're gonna remember. After this, you'll never hear Freezer Meat again, and I won't come by.
Sharay, it was terrific. Thank you so much for taking the time to share with my audience, and I wish you continued success for you, for your book, and your audience.
Oh man, same to you, man. It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining us.